is this something that people could do, like either spare time or part time, or is this something they gotta leave, their full time job to get into real estate investing?
No, you can definitely do it part time. Like it just depends on where you want to fit into the equation, right? You can do rental properties, you can flip properties, you can do all of these things part time. I mean, it doesn't take 40 hours a week to do it, right? You can
Yeah.
do it with a couple of hours a week. You just need.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Calvin Russell here. Super excited to bring you all yet another guest speaker. Okay, now listen, he's been on the channel before. So listen, if you guys have any interest in building your real estate portfolio, building business credit to purchase real estate, we're talking about doing the Bird method. We're talking about having rental properties. We're talking about buying properties, flipping them, selling them. This guy has done it all. Okay, now listen, Sean Langston. He's a master certified real estate investment coach. He's closed over 300 real estate deals and built a multi-million dollar portfolio from the ground up. Okay. He's the founder of Legacy Wealth Game Changers, leading a team of 60 agents nationwide. And he has over $15 million in real estate revenue. And listen, Sean teaches everyday investors how to use creative funding and business credit to build generational wealth. Okay, so listen, get your notepads out because we got the man in the building today. So, Sean, can you hear us? Okay.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. Awesome, man. Awesome. Awesome. Well, listen, Sean, of course, I greatly appreciate you, like always, taking out the time, from your family, your business, and of course, your real estate portfolio as well, too, to drop some gems on us today.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. And for those who don't know, actually how I met Sean actually watches the channel like many of you all. Okay. So we are attracting millionaires up in here. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
All
Yes.
right. Awesome. 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 Well, listen, let's go ahead and get straight to the point, Sean, like we always do. I got man, some great questions for you lined up today. And also, too, before we go too deep into it, guys, we get every time Sean comes, you guys send messages to Sean, you send messages to us about how can we actually take action, how can we learn more. Well, check this out. There's a QR code right above Sean's head. Scan that QR code. I'm also going to put the link inside of the description as well too. He put together a course, a workbook, and you're going to get access to all of the interviews that Sean and I have done commercial free, all into this one package. Scan that QR code right above. And again, you guys can learn more or click the link in the description below. But Sean, my first question for today, at what point is it wise to separate personal credit from business credit when you're launching a real estate investing LLC?
Yeah, that's a great question, Calvin. So, it's kind of like the question when people ask me, you know, how soon should I get involved in real estate investing?
Yeah.
And I say, so the best time would have been yesterday.
Right.
The best time is today.
That's
Right.
right.
So the sooner the better, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to start establishing those two different profiles. You want to have a personal credit profile, and then you want to have that business credit profile. So as soon as possible, because as a lot of your listeners probably know, just from what you're teaching on your channel, your credit, and when you have that credit history, the history helps increase your score as well. So that increases your business score, and it increases your personal score. So as soon as possible, as soon as you want to get involved into real estate investing, you should start trying to build your business credit. I mean, because pretty much if you want to get financing loans or whatever, you have to have an LLC anyway, right? So you establish that LLC, and then once you establish that LLC, you want to start building business credit for that LLC right away.
I know that's right. Absolutely. And let's touch on a couple things. You mentioned that, of course, it's best to get started, today, because you can't get started, yesterday. But man, with these real estate prices, people always talk about prices going up. I'm talking last year, they was talking about prices going up. 3 years ago, they was talking about prices going up. Prices always go up in real estate. Does that affect how you buy things, or how should people feel about that?
Yeah, the bottom line is this: real estate's not going anywhere. So yes, are you going to pay more sometimes? than you would other times. Yes, but that's part of that comes with the territory. I was watching this video the other night, and I don't know if you guys know the guy Robert Herjavec from Shark Tank, but basically a guy was interviewing him, and he said, "What's some of the best advice that you ever got?" And guy said, "One of my mentors, a billionaire mentor, he's partners with Warren Buffett, told him to never sell any real estate, buy as much as you can." Right. So this is coming from a billionaire. So yes, at times it would be more, interest rates are higher. But if you have an exit plan, if you have a goal for what you're trying to accomplish with that real estate, it's always a good time to buy, right? Because think about it. If you have that asset and that asset goes up over time, or that asset you can leverage it, actually that asset will help you to leverage and build your business credit, because once lenders see that you do have real estate in your LLC, that helps you to get more funds for more loans and more lending later. So it's important that you build your business credit as soon as possible.
All right, Sean. So right now, a lot of people are saying that, of course, prices are going up. They said that this year, 3 years ago, I mean, prices on real estate have been going up for years. How does that play a role when you're actually looking for purchase, when you're actually looking for properties to purchase?
Yeah, right. So that's a great question, Calvin. Yes. So that just basically answers the question for you right there, right? If
Yeah.
people are complaining, saying, "Hey, prices have gone up over the years," right? So it's important that you get something as sooner than later, because yes, you may pay more than you paid 3 years ago, but that property is going to continue to go up in value. As that property goes up in value, that's a benefit for you, because then you have equity. You have a property that's worth more than you paid for it a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right? And then you can leverage that property to get more properties. You can leverage that property to build your business credit as well. So it's all relative, right? Just because it's higher, you're going to benefit from that as well. You're going to benefit from that as you own that property for the next 3 years. So that's kind of like with
Mm,
the stock market, the old saying, buy
yeah.
low and sell high. What I
Yeah.
learned from my mentor is you got to ride the wave. You got to buy on the way up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's all you're doing with real estate. You got to buy on the way up.
Got you. So with real estate, you want to buy on the way up. Okay. So now let's go ahead and take a couple steps back. So now we say, okay, I want to buy property. Okay. Now, what documentation or what type of prep do we need to do to have in place before we start applying for these types of business loans?
Yeah, so it's important. That's a really great question, because you really can't
Yeah.
do anything to scale your business if you don't take these steps. So the first thing you need to do is go to your Secretary of State.
Mhm.
Every state has that, right? And you want to
Yeah.
file and get an LLC. Now you
Okay.
can get other things later on down the line, but the base level you want to start with an LLC. You can get an
Okay.
LLC going in most states for under $500, right?
Mm.
So you get the LLC started. Once you get the LLC started, then you want to file for your EIN number, your
Mm.
employer identification number, right? That kind of separates your social security number and adds it to that business. So that business becomes its own EIN. I mean, its own entity. I'm sorry, its
Yeah.
own entity. Once it becomes
Mm.
its own entity, you take that to the bank, you open you up a business checking account. They're going to ask you for your LLC docs, your operation agreement, and they're going to ask you for your EIN number. Once you provide that, you got business bank account set up. You could put $500 in there. You don't need to put a lot of money in there. You're just establishing a whole different entity. Once you
Okay.
establish that entity, now you're set up to get funding from private lenders, hard money lenders, non-conventional lenders, to get funding on that LLC, which is not in your name, right? It's under
Mm.
that business profile. So once you do that, you're actually building that business profile, and it's not showing up on your personal credit, which is amazing. It doesn't show up on your personal credit. Now, I'll just say disclaimer here.
Yeah.
It will show up on your
Yeah.
personal credit if you don't make the payment. So, you
You
got
better
to get
believe
that.
it.
It will show up, right? But for
Yeah.
all intents and purposes, you get it set up and you're off to the races. So that's something you want to do. LLC, EIN, bank account, and you're off to the races.
Wow. There you go. And this is pretty simple stuff to get, to be honest with you, and for banks that let you borrow hundreds of thousands of dollars and you just have, just a few $100s in the bank account. Obviously, there's some other things as well too that they want to see, but that's a fairly decent start, for sure. Okay. Now,
Absolutely.
let's go ahead and give people a little bit of sauce, Sean. So now, what banks would you recommend starting this process with?
Yeah, so I would recommend if you want to kind of start building a long-term relationship, I would recommend community banks, meaning local banks, right? If you got credit unions, I would build some relationships with them. Always build relationships with some of like the big 3 or 4 lenders. Like we have Truist. If you have Truist Bank in your city, Truist is a good one. They are friendly with investors. Then you got the Bank of Americas and the Wells Fargo, right? But ideally, far as real estate funding through your business profile, one of the best things to use is a hard money lender. And one of the ones that I've used time after time is Lima One. Lima One Bank, they pretty much loan in all 50 states, as far as I know, maybe 48 states or so. But they're a big player in the game. And basically, all you need is what I told you. That's going to be a start. You're going to need your LLC, your EIN, your bank account, and then sure, as you continue to move through this process with Calvin, you'll find out ways to get funding as far as having the funds. Because when you're doing real estate investing, you can use some of your lines of credit as down payment, as proof of funds in your for real estate investing. So that's a powerful, powerful tool. So I would say Lima One is good. I got another one that's a hard money lender called iFund Cities, right? Shout out to my
Mm,
guy Eric at iFund Cities and my guy Joe at Lima
mm.
One. So, if you go to either one of them, just mention my name, Joe Jalden and Eric Eichenberg over at iFund Cities.
Man, listen, guys, listen. As you guys can see right now, Sean is giving the game away. Now, if you think this is good, you haven't seen his course, okay? This course is going to come with not only the full breakdown of how you can make 6 to 7 figures in real estate, okay? But it's going to come with a workbook, it's going to come with a quiz, and it's going to come with all of the interviews that Sean and I have done completely commercial free. Okay. So that way you can get all of his contacts and his entire breakdown. Okay. Let's go ahead and get back into the questions because we got a lot of stuff, for Sean today. He giving y'all contacts out here. Okay. Love it, man. Love it. All right. So now let's go ahead and go into some other things as well, too, because in real estate, people always talk about creative financing, right? So now, can you share some examples of some creative financing techniques that you've used on some real estate deals in the past?
Yeah, for sure. Mention one. If you have a real estate license, I know some of your listeners might be licensed real estate agents. You can basically use the commission that you were going to get as a down payment on the loan. So basically, if you
Mm,
were going to get 3% commission and you had like a FHA loan or what have you,
yeah.
basically they would allow you to use your commission that you basically wouldn't have to get paid your commission, but you would basically use that commission as a down payment, a commission that you would have gotten paid. So basically, you basically buying a house with no money out of pocket, right? So
Mm,
that's a creative way if you have a real estate license. Also, creative way if you have a real estate license is you could use that to get the property because the seller may be offering 3%, 4%, 2%, or whatever they're offering, right? You can say, hey, Mr. Seller, as opposed to me taking this commission, what I want to do is I'll just let you keep that commission, but I want the
mm,
property. You get to keep
yeah.
that. Man, I've gotten so many properties that way because the seller's like, what do you mean? Like, I don't have to pay you, I don't have to
Right.
pay you as a real estate agent. So those are benefits as a real estate agent. Another thing where
Mm,
you don't need a license is creative financing is seller finance. Man,
mhm,
I love seller financing. Seller financing is when the seller is acting as the bank, right? So that means that all the things we kind of just talked about, you going to the bank, providing this documents, providing that document, you going strictly straight to the seller, and the seller is going to finance in the bank. And the good thing about that as well, the fact that you don't have to have a bank involved and you don't have to jump through different hoops or whatever, is a lot of times you can make the terms, right? Meaning you could say, hey, Mr. Seller, um, if you finance, say the purchase price was $200,000, you know, and you say, hey, Mr. Seller, if you do 0% interest for 5 years, then I'll actually pay you $210,000 for the house. Now, somebody's
Wow.
going to be like, wait a minute, Sean, you're going to pay $10,000 more for the house? Like, why would you do that? The reason I'm doing that because I'm getting the terms that I want. I'm getting a lower payment. What happens is once I
Mm,
get that house and I'm just going through it and I got like 5 years, that
yeah.
house is going to appreciate more than up to 210,000 over 5 years, right? So it really
Mm,
doesn't matter that, you know, I'm paying them more. I'm getting the low monthly payment that I want, and I probably have a renter in there, right? So
yeah.
if I'm paying the seller 0% interest, my payment, I'm just using blank numbers, basic numbers, $1,000 a month, right? I'm
Yeah.
paying $1,000 a month, and then with this to the seller, and then I might be renting it out for $2,000 a month, right? So I
Mm,
don't care about the extra $10,000 because he's giving me 5 years to pay him this money. And basically, what I'm going to do in 5 years or less is
yeah.
refinance it with a conventional bank, right? So $10,000 extra is, you know, he's excited about that. But I'm even more excited because I'm getting a 0% interest loan with that seller. So I love creative financing when it comes to that, where you have the seller
Wow.
financing. Those are probably like the main things that I use, seller financing. Yeah, yeah, that's one of the best ones. And you could
Yeah.
also basically use business credit. We talk about that. Like that's pretty much straightforward. You can use
Yeah.
your business credit card. You can turn that credit card into down payment money. You can turn that
Mm,
money to secure the house, right? So that's another way to do creative financing. Me personally, I've done a few deals. One of the deals that really panned out great for me, I bought a triplex, almost an acre and a half of land, and another third of an acre on my business credit card. And that place is still paying me dividends. I built a new construction house on the third of an acre. I have a triplex on one part of it, and we're building 14, I'm sorry, 9 town. They didn't approve us for 14, 9 townhomes on the other acre or so. So I mean, and
mm.
I paid for that bad boy with my business credit card. And it was about 95,000, I believe, what I paid for. So several ways to finance things creatively for sure.
Wow. And and I'm so glad you broke that down because, a lot of people they think, well, I gotta save up a certain amount of money. It takes forever to save that up. They say, I'm gonna get some partners. Then they waiting on people, they adding all these puzzle pieces.
That's right.
And then you say, you know what? With business credit, that's going to be one of the easiest routes to go. But then aside from that, sounds like seller financing, especially if you find a seller that's in a situation,
That's right.
So I'm
Absolutely.
man, that
Listen,
seems like you can
when
most
you
definitely
say
save a lot of money there. Go ahead.
Absolutely, Cal. I'm going to interrupt you, but on that note,
Yeah.
like you said, if you find a seller that's in a situation, I always
Mhm.
tell my mentees that we don't buy houses that are on for sale. We buy houses that are on sale, right? What I
Mm.
mean by that is a lot of times, sellers are motivated, right? They may have had a fortunate situation where they had to move on and they
Yeah.
want to just be done with the house, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I've had people who just wanted to give me their house because they can't afford it. Like they're moving on, they're done with it. They're
Yeah.
mentally checked out already. So yes, if you have someone that's motivated, I mean, you can literally get in a place with no money down,
Wow.
and you can get the terms that you want. And you can do what's called subject to. That's for another time. A subject to the existing mortgage. Like you could take over payment,
Yeah.
right? So there's
Wow.
several different ways to get involved in real estate investing.
Got you. Got you. Listen, guys, this is why we bring Sean here. Okay. This ain't just somebody that's done flipped a couple houses and, giving his advice. Okay. This is something he does full time. And speaking of full time, you know, real estate investing, of course, sounds great. There's, obviously some upside, some money that's there. And, and I'm going to ask you about a couple deals, nothing crazy. But before we get into that, is this something that people could do? Like either spare time or part time, or is this something they gotta leave, their full time job to get into real estate investing?
No, you can definitely do it part time. Like it just depends on where you want to fit into the equation, right?
Yeah,
You can do rental properties, you can flip properties, you can do all of these things part time. I mean, it doesn't take 40 hours a week to do it, right? You can
yeah,
do it with a couple of hours a week. you just need to kind of understand the basics of real estate investing,
Yeah.
understand the area. You got to understand what's going on in the market. But once you kind of have those intact, you can pretty much do it part time. Like most people that start out do it part time, right?
Yeah.
I was a real estate agent, and I was investing in real estate part time, right? So for sure, it's definitely something that you don't have to do full time. It's definitely something you could do part time, a couple of hours a week, and you can get the ball rolling. So yeah, I would say if it's something that people got different side hustles, right? I know people drive
Yeah.
for Uber, people do
Yep.
different things. You can do the
Yep.
same thing with real estate investing, right? You can carve
Mm.
out a little bit of extra time and do it on the side, right? You can just figure out, how much time you have and do it on the side. I mean, you can invest in real estate for as little as maybe 5 hours a week. If you can dedicate an hour a day to real estate, you can basically get involved in real estate investing.
Wow. Man, that's amazing. And you know what? Listen, I know you slid that word in there, mentees, right? Because obviously you've been doing this for years. You've been coaching people, training people. You have more than just the course and the workbook and things of that sort. Let's talk about that. So now let's say some of the new people that you've worked with, and I know every area is different, but what are some, I would say some profits or some returns that people have seen just from doing some deals with you being brand new?
Yes, that's a great question. So being brand new, I had one of my students. He made like $75,000 on his
Mm,
flip. I would say on average, most of them are making about $30,000 on their
yeah.
first flip, right?
Okay.
But the beautiful thing about it is they're going on to do more flips. It's just
Mm,
basically getting introduced to it and understanding it, right? I had one of my students. She even took it to a whole other level. She has
oh,
a rental portfolio of about 10 properties now. And this is all over, of course, about 4 years. She has
yeah.
10
Right.
properties. She's flipped about 15 or 20 properties. And
Mm,
she started her own construction renovation business, so she's bad. So she's
yeah.
just took it to the next level.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of them, are making like 30 to $40,000 on their first flip. But
Wow.
my star student made like 75K on their
Wow.
first one. So, I mean, one of my students, he said, "Listen, Sean, if I could make an extra $30,000 a year, I'll be good." And so basically, what we're going to do is we're going to do two flips. We got one of his flips on the market now. It's probably
Mm,
going to make about 20,000 on that, right?
yeah.
And then we'll flip another one before the end of the year, and he'll probably
Mm.
make 20 to 30,000. So I was like, Maurice, that's easy. We can do that, right? So yeah, I mean, those your average returns, 20, $30,000. Every market is a little different. Probably, someone on the West Coast might be higher, some in the Midwest might be a little lower. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's about average. So it's a great business, and it's good, money to supplement your income. And then if you want to take it to the next level and do it full time, you can. But it's definitely something that you can do part time easily.
This is exactly why I keep telling people, because a lot of times people think they have to, leave everything they have, but they can at least start with sometimes it's videos like this where, it sparks the idea and it says, you know what, I can do this. I don't have to leave, everything I'm doing right now in order to do this. And guys, listen, this is exactly why that, Sean just gave a limited time discount on his course. Okay. And it breaks down. This is what I would say a great starting point. So you can at least get the basics out of the way, learn exactly what you need to do. It's not just basics, it breaks down the entire process. So I say go ahead and start, with that. You can scan the QR code right there on your screen or click the link inside the description below to learn more. Okay. But listen, we're not done with Sean yet. I know he got to go soon, but we ain't done yet. So now let's say, for example, Sean, that a person wants to continue buying properties and those types of things. Is there a limit to how many properties you can purchase? In using your LLC, is there a limit on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I might be dating myself, and some of the younger listeners may not know about Master P. Master P, no limit
No
soldier. There's
limit.
no
No
limit.
limit.
There's no limit. That's what I love about it. Listen, anytime
Yeah.
you have a situation where you can be as creative and, out of the box as possible, I absolutely love that. So there's no limit. Now there's a limit if you do what's called conventional financing and you got Fannie Mae loans and so forth. But if you're doing it the way that I've been doing it, we're going through hard money lenders, private lenders, non-qualified mortgage lenders, or whatever. There is no limit. You can own and get as many as you want. And I'm super passionate about that. I feel like we should be trying to get as much real estate as we can. If you decide to go that route and get involved in real estate investing, you should buy as much as you can. I go out about every quarter and I speak to young people about real estate investing. And so one thing I went to a basketball camp last week and spoke to some kids, and I was asking them about Amazon. I said, how many people know about Amazon? Of course, the kids like, yeah, we know about Amazon, and Amazon is known to be an online retailer, right? But Amazon has to keep all those supplies in warehouses, industrial areas somewhere, right? So real estate is going to be there no matter what. Even the highways that we ride on, that's part of real estate. Like that was somebody's land at one time before, right? So I'm a big proponent of owning as much real estate as you possibly can. Like it ain't for everybody, but if you understand the importance of owning real estate and you can own it, own as much as possible. So I love that there's no limit when you're buying real estate, no limit how many that you can buy through these programs that we're talking about, using business credit, using business funding, using hard money lenders. There's no limit. I absolutely love that. I mean, that's a cheat code as far as I'm concerned.
Man, right. And you say your nephew put you on the cheat code. He said, "Unc, you the cheat code."
That's what he said. He said, "No cap." I'm like, "What are you talking about, dude? No cap. What is that?" So yeah, man. No cap. No cap is no limit.
That's right. Absolutely, Sean. Absolutely. Now I did have another question as well too, because obviously when you're buying, like when you have your personal credit and you're buying the first property, it's a little different when you're buying like the second property or the third property.
Right.
So when you're doing like real estate investing, for example, is the process any different when someone is buying, let's say, the second property, the first or the fifth? Is there any like any difference in that?
Yeah, so that is going to be the monumental paradigm shift as you start to invest in real estate. You have to understand that it is not like when you're buying your personal home. When you buy your personal home, most of the time they're looking at your personal credit and they're basically saying, hey, we want to see that you got X amount of credit. We want to see that you've been on your job for 2 years. We want to see that you got X amount of 2 months bank statements. We want to see the last 2 years tax returns or what have you. Like that's pretty much how you buy when you're buying your personal residence, right? But when you're buying an investment property, the thing I love about it is they're looking at the deal, right?
Yeah.
Meaning that they're looking to see if this real estate opportunity that you're bringing and putting in front of them, if it makes sense. So they don't really look at anything else. They use your personal credit to gauge what your interest rate is going to be, but they don't use your personal credit to basically, it's not as much emphasis put on your personal credit. What I will say is you do have to have a 620 or higher to even get into real estate investing. But that is like lower than a lot of loan programs you can get in on the conventional side. So basically, they're looking at the deal. So they'll look at the property, right? And if the property, I'm just going to use some basic numbers. If the property is worth $100,000, meaning that that's what it's really worth on the fair market, on the open market, they'll loan up to $70,000 on that property. So if whatever reason, if you bought that property for $60,000, if you got under contract for $60,000, for all intents and purposes, sometimes they'll fund 100% of that transaction. So it's totally different. Like it's not the same. You don't have to have all this history, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to have a ton of money in the bank. They don't care about all of those things. Really, the deal is the most important thing that the banks look at. So the process is totally different. So it's like a paradigm shift. And to be honest, it's easy, kind of like Calvin said, like it's amazing that banks will give you hundreds of thousands of dollars when you only have to really invest a small amount of money, energy, and effort into this, right? I'm not saying that it's easy, but you have to understand it's going to be a mindset shift. It's not the same as, so I know a lot of times you're a first time home buyer, for most people might have been challenged. You'd be like, dang, they wanted my firstborn, right? You know, you like, I can't believe all this stuff
Almost.
they asked for, right? They ask all this paperwork, but with
Yeah.
real estate investing, it's just the opposite. They don't require
Mm.
a ton of paperwork. And the beautiful thing about it is, kind of like I said initially, is once you start investing and you get one property, two property, three properties, it gets easier and easier, right? Because they're going to use that as leverage and experience, right? As a matter of fact, I'm actually helping one of my a guy I met that was we part of an investment group. I'm actually co-signing a co-guarantor on $1 million loan for him, right?
Mm.
Because of my history, right? And
Yeah.
I'm going to make a substantial amount of money just for signing on the loan, being a guarantor. Like, I've underwritten the loan. The loan is good to go and all that stuff. But he
Mhm.
needed somebody like myself that had the history. So that's what I mean. Once you start doing this thing, real estate investing, and you decide to go to that next level, if that's what you want to do,
Yeah.
every transaction you get just builds up your credit profile, builds up your history, right? And so, I'm in position to get paid off a deal just because of my history. Like, I don't have to do anything. I already know what the deal is. And on top of that, I'm a partner in on the deal too. So once he sells it, I'm going to get a portion of that. So I'm not
Yeah.
putting up any money, right? So all of that's just built over time, building that history up. So it's the sky's the limit, right? You want to continue
Yeah.
to build on that.
Wow, man. Listen, Sean, I got to stop you right there because you giving too much away now. So, but listen, Sean, listen, thank you so much, man, for stopping by and just giving so many gems and keeping us updated because we know obviously real estate it's a vehicle that's been around for years,
That's right.
and I think it's something that people want to get into, but they just don't know where to start. And I love how you break everything down. You keep it very simple
Yeah.
as well too, man. So, and of course, if people want to, follow you and things of that sort, I got his Instagram down at the bottom of the screen, as well. So if you guys just want to just see what Sean is doing, listen, in my opinion, he don't be showing y'all behind the scenes because, of what goes on, because I know it takes some work, to get these deals
Right.
to the closing table. But that's why, of course, you get paid so well, when the
That's right.
deal does close, because you're not just flipping the house. You're not just buying a rental property. Like, when people are renting, they say, man, I want to know my landlord is trash or my landlord sucks. You could be that landlord. You can be the change.
Yes.
You say, man, I'm tired of other people buying in my neighborhood, or I'm tired of these properties look a certain way. You could be that change, in the neighborhood.
Yes,
You
indeed.
know, I and it's videos like this that sparks that interest and that says, you know what? Today is the day that I'm going to go ahead and take this. And again, guys, I told you, listen, Sean, listen, he don't talk about a lot of stuff, but a lot of that stuff is in his head. But listen, this is a rare opportunity that he is actually put this together and broke everything down. And so again, guys, if you want to learn how to make 6 to 7 figures with real estate investing, go ahead and scan that QR code right there on your screen. You get access to the course, you get access to the workbook, you get access to a quiz, and you also get access to all the interviews that Sean and I have done commercial free. Okay. And then, Sean, with that being said, is there anything else you want to leave? Any last, just tips before we get out of here today?
Yeah, what I would say is, I know you guys may have heard the saying, or maybe not, but there's a saying that, it says, don't wait and buy real estate and wait. And that whole premise is real estate is going to go up over time. Historically, it has, right? If you hold on to something, I went to this conference before, and Magic Johnson was the keynote speaker, and that's what he said. He impressed upon me. He said, listen, buy something, hold on to it, and somebody's going to come knocking on your door. And I've seen it time and time and again, time and time and again. It's
Wow.
important, guys, especially these times that we're in, that you are owner. You're an owner. Like, you can be the landlord, right? You can be the lender, not the borrower, right?
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
can basically provide opportunities for people in your community, right? You don't have to be the one that's complaining about the landlord. You can be the landlord and you can help people. So when Calvin, when you said that, man, you were right on the money. I
Yeah.
love being able to give people opportunities, right, that
Yeah.
may not have been given opportunities by somebody else. I had a brother that, he had been incarcerated. Nobody would give him a chance. Like, This dude hasn't missed a payment. He's been in my property for 7 years, man. So
Yeah.
it's important that we are
Yeah.
owners and we can control what's going on in our communities, right?
That's
Instead of
right.
other people come in and control the community. We complain about gentrification and things of that nature. We
That's
can
right.
literally do something about it. And truth be told, most of the elders that are in the community, if they are
Yeah.
going to sell, they rather
Yeah.
sell to us, right? So
Yeah.
I love the premise of owning. Owning is important, right? I'll just drop one more thing. All these different people fighting wars and so forth, they're fighting
Yeah.
for real estate. They're
When you
fighting
think about it, yes, for
yeah,
land.
for
Yeah.
land. Real estate is king, man. As long as we on this earth, we will have to occupy this real estate, right? Whether
Wow.
you're
Yeah.
going vertical up in buildings, whether you're going on roads, whether you are, having warehouses, whether you got Airbnb, single family house, multifamily, we're gonna need this real estate piece. I don't care how much technology, even
That's right.
as much as AI that we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
All this AI that they have to have big data centers, right?
Mm.
Where do you think they got to put them? On some real estate,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
So my whole thing is I can get on my soapbox about it. My whole premise is this. Definitely real estate is the way to go. It's not going anywhere. If you research some of the most, successful people in history, most of them
Yeah.
have real estate in part of their wealth portfolio. All the
Mm-hmm.
Jay-Z's and the billion-dollar people, when they say people net worth, their real estate is part of their net worth. So I'm
That's
just
right.
big on real estate. I'm bullish on real estate, and it's something that's not going anywhere. It's been around for thousands and thousands of years, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
That's right. That's right. Man, thanks again, Sean, for man, just wrapping it up the way you just did. And listen, if this didn't motivate you all, I'm telling you, especially if you're just hearing this type of, conversation for the first time, dig deeper. And again, go back and watch some of the other videos that Sean and I have done and say, you know what do I want to do? What do I want to do? What do I want to do to take the next step? And listen, Sean, we greatly appreciate you, stopping by, taking away time from your family and your business to drop these gems. Now we're gonna go ahead and head over to the elite, and we still can hold you for another 5 to 10 minutes, right?
Yeah,
For another
yeah, you
five to
got
ten.
it, man. You got it. Listen, get that course. Get the course. The course
That's
breaks it
right.
down. Breaks it down. I make it simple. That's one thing about me. I like to keep it simple. It's packed with crazy information, step by step process, basically the blueprint for you to learn how to get
Yeah,
involved in real
absolutely.
estate. So take advantage of that opportunity.
That's right, Sean. That's right. All right, sir. Thanks again. We appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. Take care.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.